Our intro. Hello, 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 and welcome everyone to the Keepers Club podcast. This podcast is hosted by Keepers Club, a club that aims to keep young people like us away from negative activities such as smoking, drinking, doing drugs, and to really help and guide and uplift young adults like us who are tuning in, especially those who might be going through depression, loneliness, anxiety, and eventually suicidal thoughts. We have the privilege to have keepers and especially guests that are willing to join this week's recording to share their experiences on how to stay healthy, happy, and motivated. Because at the end of the day, that's really the goal of the club. For us keepers to share with others as one were to do with their own brother or sister. Just like the club slogan, I am my brother's keeper, we will do whatever it takes to share the love that we experience individually and as a group. And we love to also thank our founding president of Keepers Club, who is none other than Apollo Kibaloy, for this opportunity to be a part of our Keepers Club podcast. So without further ado, let us all introduce and greet everyone and welcome everyone. Let's all give a round of applause to all the keepers joining. How are y'all there? Kindly say hi to one another and especially all the viewers tuning in to
Hello,
this
everyone.
podcast episode 8.
Hello. Good afternoon.
And of course, we wouldn't want to start officially without greeting a new face. And we'd like to especially say hi and to greet Keeper Janeth, right? Yes, Keeper Janeth. So how are you, Keeper Janeth? Can you say hi?
Hi, Janet.
And welcome to the
Hello.
Keepers Club podcast. Thank you so much for joining.
Hi,
Thank
Janet.
you. Hi.
I think her sister's also with her,
Which one, 뭐죠?
with Janet. So we can give her a shout out too.
Oh, go Bonso. Giving out shout out.
Janet, shout out to your sister.
Shout out to my sister Francesca.
Oh, what's her name,
Hey.
Janet?
My sister's name?
Yes,
Francesca.
Francesca.
Yes.
Everyone's give a 10 club offering to, or round of applause to Francisca also for joining. Thank you so much for joining, Francisca and Janet.
Welcome. Welcome.
We're very happy for you to join first time, and we'll do our best as well to really make sure this podcast is memorable for all of the keepers and especially to the new faces. So we thank you for joining, and let's get started. But how's your day in the meantime, though, Keeper Janet and Keeper Francisca?
My name is good.
It's good. Did you do anything memorable? Anything? You go anywhere fun? Eat anything nice?
No, just the normal stuff.
Word. So we're glad you're safe, Keeper Janet, and we hope normal stuff has been treating you well. So go, Janet and Francisco, once again. All right. So, can anyone tell me what it says on the screen?
The Keepers Club podcast, episode 8. The
Word,
good and
okay.
bad side of the internet.
Let me try to share the music also. But okay. So, thank you, Gab. All right, and you can see your faces also, like 4 of them, and in time, double checking. Okay, it's all good. Okay, but thank you, Keeper Gab, once again. So this is our Keepers Club podcast, episode 8, and just like Gab is saying, the topic today will be the good and bad of the internet. All right, so as our introduction, we are once again the Keepers Club podcast, and we are a podcast to help guide, encourage, and uplift the youth. We do this through Zoom, as you can see, and once again, for the people that have joined this podcast or who have just joined, we aim to post our full episodes on YouTube at Keepers Club Podcast and on Facebook, where we take group photos and also have like some kind of memory and like a victory report, you can say. So the reason that we are doing this is because I am my brother's keeper. So this slogan truly means that we treat one another like our very own brother or sister. And uh, of course, we don't mean to say like, "Hey, I'm your brother and sister now." No, but really, it's just the morals that we have and that we've learned through the club that we really hope to share to all the keepers in our own respective states and to all over the United States, and even to the viewers that are tuning from different keepers club all around the world. It is truly a global club. So, as I full screen this as well, yes, all right. So I'll ask one of you as well to share their experiences so far on um and actually we the reason that we do this podcast as well is to gather, bond, and share with all the keepers all over the US especially. So our experience so far, as you can see all the group photos, we really have it is really an opportunity and such a privilege as well to have this podcast because we are really just trying to do our very best and our that bare minimum to share once again the love that we felt through the club. So as you can see, we've had very successful episodes, group photos, and everyone's able to share. And we love seeing new faces as well. So this really is a platform and an opportunity for us to really discuss the struggles of being a youth. Because truly, whether no matter how young or not how old you are, as like young adolescents, that truly we all go through struggles. So we have this opportunity once again to talk about it, maybe encourage one another to really give advice, and as well as um, to continue to treat one another as our brother and sister. Would anyone like to jump in, by the way, in sharing what they think the podcast is, are, and how the podcast has been treating you? Anyone, not all at once. But go Bunsos, if you'd like to share.
I guess I'll go first. So I guess the podcast, I guess you could say, has made a positive impact on my life, especially talking with other young people and getting their uh certain input or like advice on some situations or stuff going on in my life. And you know I like how we're always talking about positivity in something that benefits our lives. And yeah, it's just been a great experience.
Thank you for sharing, Gab. How about you, Tony?
Okay, so like I think Gab pretty much said most of it, but it's just really a great time or a great way to like be able to talk about the struggles of our daily lives as a young people here in America because of all the things that comes from different directions. You never know what happens, what comes up in your life. So there's just sometimes when you need to talk about it to some people, but there's not really someone you can talk to that, besides your family, of course, like your close family or your friends. But if you really don't have that kind of connection with someone, then I think this is the great way to be able to, be enlightened as well from other young people who you never know, but they may be going through the same thing as you are. It just takes one person to stand up, and we can build upon that foundation on helping each other. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But it's a great experience because I like seeing your faces. That's pretty much all I have to say.
Likewise, and thank you, Anthony. Thank you for sharing. All right. So, um, if you want to jump in also into these group photos that we have, tune until the very end. But other than that, look at all the beautiful faces, and we are so once again grateful to have this podcast. So, let's move on to our icebreaker. All right, so this is really to get a feel for the people in this podcast, and I'll explain it. So let's just jump into the first one. The first one is called Finish the Sentence. So this one involves the chat box. All right, so as I share the audio as well, I'm gonna type something in the. I'm going to type something in the. Oh, I'm gonna type something in the chat box, and then feel free to finish the sentence. So, for example, something as easy as this is, "My day is going," and then feel free to share your day. So, I'm gonna share the audio as well. So there's some nice background music. Yeah. Oh. And by the way, is there also a new face as well in the podcast? Because word on the street is there's a keeper named Angela.
Angelina Ford.
Angelina. I'm sorry, Angelina. So goalkeeper Angelina, kindly identify yourself. We love to hear you or see you and give you and greet you accordingly. But is there a keeper, Angelina?
From San Francisco.
Yes, go San Francisco. We love to say hi to you.
I think the iPad.
Oh, is it Luna or iPad? But while we're figuring that out as well, we're for all the viewers as well who are listening, we're glad that especially all the keepers, we're glad that your day is going great, is going pretty okay, amazing, passing. Oh, and we hope you get some food. Glad you're amazing, awesome, chill. All right, so everyone's day is going well. I'm glad. All right, how about this one? The reason I joined the podcast today is, but while the keepers are typing that in, and that will share their responses as well, for all the viewers that are tuning in, we just like to as well wish you a great day so far, a great week, and once again, or not once again, but for you as well. We hope that you've been well. We hope that you've been healthy, that your week is going far. You got to eat something delicious, got to do something memorable, got to do something that you can really cherish. So we greet and we share lots of love to you from here in the Keepers Club podcast station here in the United States. And we thank you for tuning in as well. So go Keepers all over the world. And goalkeeper Isaac also for your uncle telling you to join the podcast. So we thank you as well for joining, and go the very youngest keepers to ever join our podcast. And anyone else, by the way, they'd like to share, I'll share as well. But this one also, goalkeeper Tony, is an event to really look forward to share and to help each other. Yeah, good looks. And to see everyone and to enjoy everyone talking and giving advice. Sleeping, they woke me up and said that there was a podcast. All right, let me type something in. Let me see. All right, sorry about the caps and the misspelling, but thank you for your understanding. And also, we're likewise as well that we're glad that you like seeing everyone talking, that you're willing to join, and that it's really fun to join and to meet new people and to talk to everyone once again. So, what a privilege it is, once again, for all of us to have this podcast. And just know, too, that this podcast does not belong to any of us in particular, but it truly belongs to um, the club itself and especially our founding president. So, all right, so we hope you enjoyed that. And let me know for future reference if you guys have better topics in terms of the finish the sentence. But in the meantime, let's move on to the next icebreaker, which is where in the world. So this one's called, once again, where in the world. I have to stop sharing the screen. And for this to work, it's as simple as this. We'll just point to one another. So, for example, it's going to be where in the world is Keeper Jello? And in my screen, it is here. So you just point to them, simple as that, right? Okay, where in the world is Keeper Eunice? Okay. How about Keeper Isaiah? and keeper Hannah. Wait, so two Hannahs. The keeper
Which
Sherilyn, Hannah, and Eunice one. That Hannah. Go Han. And then maybe last one, keeper Josh. Go keeper Josh. Oh, actually, and how about keeper iPad? Go keeper iPad. Okay. Hello. By the way, keeper. Uh, nice kitchen, by the way, and thank you so much for joining. We love to. Oh. By any chance, are you keeper Angelina from?
Yes.
Yes. Go San Francisco.
I
So
keep
how are you there?
it
What a
welcome.
yes, what a privilege for you or for us to have you as a new face. So
Yes.
how are you, keeper Angelina? And everyone kindly greet her accordingly. So go keeper Angelina.
Hello,
I'm
welcome.
Keeper Angelina, what are your expectations for this podcast?
What do you expect me to? Is to have friends. Ewan ko dito, having friends. Dapat alam mo na yun.
Oh, regards to your family there though, keeper Angelina, and we'd love for you to uh how's your day though, by the way? Is your day going well? You get to eat
It's
something?
good.
It's good?
Doing good.
Word. So thank you so much for joining, by the way, and let's all give another round of applause to keeper Angelina. Oh,
Talk to me.
so we hope you enjoy, and feel free to jump in. We'll have a very nice discussion.
Video. Si Maria Concentrate.
So let's move on. But go keeper Janeth as well, keeper Angelina. And for our third icebreaker, let's try this. It's gonna be turn off camera if. So turn off camera if. I gotta stop sharing the screen. But it's gonna be like this. So for example, we'll have like this. Oh. All right. So it'll be like turn off your video. Oh, can you hear the music by the way?
No.
Not really.
Hmm. Kindly jump in really quick, Bunsos. First of all, go Bunso.
What if you have your camera off and then would you have to turn it on?
Dapat siguro ni Major to.
Huh?
What if you have your camera off and then it applies to you, so you have to turn it on? Do you get it?
No.
Basically,
The new that icebreaker is turn your camera off.
Okay.
So what if you have your camera on? I mean, you have your camera off. So would you have to turn it on because you can't really turn it off?
Okay, good
mean,
luck,
right?
Bunsos. So I'm
Ano
having
yun?
I have my notes are all scattered, but let's start it though. So for example, keep your video off if you're having a bad day so far. All right, so for everyone's video that is on, we're glad that your day is going well. All right, so how about this? Turn your video off if you have a pet. All right, so go all the keepers that are petless. All right, how about
I think
this?
No one has a
Gab,
pet.
don't you have like 12 dogs?
I have 20 dogs.
Oh, aren't you supposed to have your camera off?
It's not illegal. I swear.
Okay, and how about this last one? Keep your video off if you're not enjoying the podcast so far.
This is pressured. If you turn off
So
your
we hope
camera,
that
you're a bad person.
we're thank you for everyone who is enjoying the podcast so far. All right, and be safe by the way to everyone driving. All right. Much love. We hope you enjoyed that icebreaker. So first time we ever tried that. So we'll talk about feedback later on. But let's jump into our discussion. All right. Oh, we'll move on. All right. So before we start our discussion, we just want to have a disclaimer, everyone. So just kindly remember that this podcast is rated everyone. So everything that we say, everything that we share, everything that we, all of our experiences that we really say in this to one another, and especially in our recording, kindly allow it to be, just make sure and really make sure that it's pleasing to the ear. And as well, please avoid any cursing, share anything traumatic, and of course, prevent from spreading anything that goes against our slogan, which is "I am my brother's keeper." So thumbs up. It's all good with everyone. All good, keeper Angelina, keeper Janet, keeper Jessa. All right, all right. So let's jump right into it once again. Our episode 8 for this Keepers Club podcast is called "The Good and Bad of the Internet." Right? So it's a topic we don't even talk about or learn something in school, right? But we're really happy that we're able to discuss this because truly this is like the internet age, right? Like everyone has a cell phone. So we'll really talk about the goodness or the wickedness within the internet, like even just like holding it, right? Or not just holding it, but like we can easily, you get the point, right? So let's jump in. So questions to think about. For example, what do I watch and listen to on the internet? If we were to ask ourselves, or to ask yourself, himself, or herself, can I live without my phone, laptop, or computer, or tablet, etc.? And especially, am I responsible in how I use the internet, especially how everything is accessible a couple clicks away, a couple of clicks away? Keyword everything, right? So just something to think about. And to have a foundation as well, we just wanted to do our research and to really talk about the internet and the exact definitions. So, the internet is a global computer network providing a variety of information and communication facilities consisting of interconnected networks using standardized communication protocols. And thank you too. We know you can read, but just double checking. So there are many good and bad things on it, and the beneficial information and the evil even. And the internet is so attractive and addictive because it was created to be very interesting, right? So just for food for thought. All right. So we also want to jump into the problem of the internet. So truly, there is a fine line between the goodness and the wickedness, the wicked things on the web. There's a fine line between the goodness and the wicked things on the web. It is an ongoing battle between the forces of good and evil. And the internet is the modern tree of knowledge, of the knowledge of good and evil in today's generation. So it's kind of like if you think about the story that we hear, like Adam and Eve, right? So truly, like the internet is like the modern version of that, the modern tree of knowledge, the modern tree of the knowledge of good and evil. There's many good and there's many bad. There's many goodness, there's many evil, especially in today's generation, right? So once again, our topic is the good and bad of the internet. And our official question for our discussion is, what are some examples that keepers around the world are using the internet for? How are we using it for the good and the bad, and why? And why should we be aware of how we use the internet? So kindly jot down your notes, but I will also copy and paste or type it in manually in the chat in case you forget. But really think about it. We'll jump into our discussion and just know too that for our discussion in past episodes, it really is nice because we're really sharing our experiences, sharing our interpretation, sharing our opinions. However, this episode will be a little different because we really want everyone to really like almost fight to share their answers. Not literally fight, of course, but um, I'll probably just one time I'll be like anyone else, right? But other than that, we'll really do our part to just jump in to share our thoughts, and especially maybe one person is like I'm gonna share, the second person oh no they're like I'm gonna share, right? And the third person like like so it'll be like rapid fire. So we're really excited, and we'll see how this turns out. But once again, essentially, why should we be aware of how we use the internet, right? So I will type it in. And as I stop sharing the screen and share our music, who would like to jump in? Oh, Gab.
I'll go. Okay, so how many? There are three questions, right?
Just
Three
one's up.
parts.
Can you send the questions?
Yeah,
Yes,
can you
sir.
like send it so I can?
But since you jumped in, can we talk a little about your first initial thoughts?
Okay, so I think one of the reasons why one way or yeah one way I think keepers are using the internet around the world. I think a lot of people use it for sometimes their school games or just like for personal needs. And how are we using it for the good and bad? So for the good, I think, well, people use their laptops or their phones or the internet in general for, I'd say, educational purposes. Like a lot of people use the internet to maybe learn a recipe for dinner, or learn something new every day, like you know a different language. But the bad side also is, I'd say, a lot of people nowadays are attracted to pornographic films, which is pretty bad when using the internet, because it really has a negative impact on your life. And the last question, why should we be aware of how we use the internet? I think we should be aware how we use the internet, because when we use the internet, it can really impact our lives in a positive or a negative way, depending on how we use it. Like if you watch something positive, or you um learn something positive from the internet, then it'll show on your attitude on the outside. But if you're like using the internet for for, I wouldn't say evil purposes, for like bad purposes, like for example, a hacker uses the internet to hack into bank accounts, personal information. That's, I think we should be aware on how we use the internet, how we use the internet, because it can really affect the, like, you as a human being. I'm sorry, I can't talk. But yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you, Gab. And you're right. I'll jump into that your response as well a little. But really quick, also I forgot to mention, let's not raise our hand either to share. Right? It's not a class, so we're really everyone is willing to, or everyone is free to answer, and feel free to like just jump right in to start sharing their thoughts, their opinions, their examples. And just know too, feel comfy as well. This is truly, we really treat one another as like brothers and sisters in this club. So um don't be afraid to like say something dumb, or be afraid to like even share, because truly like we'll be the very first ones to stick up for you if that's the case, right? But once again, especially to all the returning keepers, we'd love for you to share. Should be like the one of the very first, right? But of course too, you're able to you're welcome to share as well, especially keeper Janet, keeper Angelina. So go San Francisco once again, and go Texas. And who would like to answer next?
Um, so can I answer
Goalkeeper
What
Josh.
are some examples that keepers around the world are using the internet for? So like examples would be like the convenience of it. Like having internet gives you everything, either like good or bad. So it like um it should be what do you call this? Um
Goalkeeper Josh.
okay, next question. How are we using it for the how are we using it for the good and the bad and why? Just like um Keeper Gab said, for the good, it's like they use it for the convenience because you can't like back before um without the convenience of internet there's you have to like go learn from like another person or like take like a couple hours and pay just to learn like how to cook or like how to like learn, but everything is now in the internet. But of course there's still some bad stuff that's like easily accessible even to children. So and why should we be aware of how we use the internet? It's it's because the internet has a lot of um bad things that you could easily get addicted to, like video games. So like if you're not paying attention and you're always using it as a like to a way to entertain yourself or please yourself, it's not always good because it's like it makes you too attached to it. Like you're always looking for it. Like so that's why you should be like aware of how you use the internet. And I think that's it.
Thank you, Keeper Josh. You're right. You're right. Good looks. It's so accessible and to even the little children, right? Just like Gab was saying too. That there's like even pornography, right? And there's even children that can have access to it, right? So, can anyone elaborate, or if they want to share another interpretation or take on the good and bad?
I can go. I'll try.
Go AC.
Okay, so for the first question, like, what are some examples that keepers around the world are using the internet for? They used to like what Gab said, they use it for like school. Because like for me, I use the internet for like for my school as well, like to check grades, do schoolwork, and we also use it for like Zoom meetings and stuff. And for the next question is how are we using it for the good and the bad? For the good, like what I said, we used it for like learning, for entertainment, for like working and stuff, and for like this, like we're using it for Zoom meetings, to be able to talk and have this podcast. And like a bad, like the way we can use it for best, like for the cyberbullying, cyberbullying, there's cyber theft, and revenge, and also the pornography that like um especially I know like there's a lot of people who like uses it, especially for like bullying, like they're not saying it to person, but they're using the internet to bully other people. And for the last question, like why should we be aware of how we use the internet? We should be aware of how we use the internet because sometimes talking to strangers online like could possess a threat to others. I know some there's like people out there who uses it for dating and stuff like that to connect with other people around the world. And sometimes we don't know who we're talking to because it's like just the strangers. And we should be always be aware what internet we use, what website we use, like what we go on, and so that our devices won't get hacked. And yeah.
Thank you, Keeper Jello. And you're very right too. I actually had that in my. I was gonna say that also. So, Goalkeeper Jello though, really talking about the access as well to cyberbully others, right? Or to even you never know you never know who we're talking to, right? Or essentially, we never know. There's weird people out there. There's creeps out there, right? Who are really trying to lure in people who are underage, even like young little boys, little girls, right? So it really is crazy to think about. So thank you as well, Keeper Jello, once again. And who's next?
Can I go next? Or does anyone want to go?
No, go Keeper
Okay, fine, I'll go
Anthony.
next. Okay, so what I think for what are some examples that keepers like us use the internet for? Like I think they mentioned it already before, but for some of us who have families other than like that's not in the United States, we use the internet to be able to talk to them as well because they're your family. You have to like ask them how they are, if they need help or whatever. So that's the good thing about the internet because you can talk to your family even if they're like far away from you, or even just like in your normal town. Like if they're at work and you're at school or whatever, or something happens, you can use the internet to be able to talk to them as well. But like they all said, there's always a bad thing because just personally, when I would join a summer camp, I was able to talk to some people that's not even in the United States. So it's a good thing because I learned things from them, and they learn things from me. And but the thing is, a lot of us or a lot of the people outside are in our school. They suffer from the internet in the bad side. Like they said, you can use the internet for pornographic addiction, for gaming, that you don't even realize the damage that it's doing to your mental health. And I just want to personally say that I can really see that because it's like we're living a normal life, but since it's so normal that people are used to seeing pornography in their phone, that it's just okay for them to show it in school. Like I can say about that in my own school. And like I just don't say anything, but it's very weird because like those are very graphic pictures that you're just comfortable showing to people around you. And like that's the bad side of the internet. Like we see it so commonly, or they see it like every single day, that it's normal for them. So that's how I feel about the internet. But there's always the good side for it. Like right here, like what we're doing right now, it wouldn't be possible if it wasn't for the internet, right? So it's always a good thing and a bad thing for the internet, but it's just the matter of side that we thread on, and the good side or the bad side. So yes, it really just depends on what you use it for. So I think that's pretty much it. But for so I pretty much answered all the questions. So I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Keeper
Mhm.
Anthony. Yes. So
Thank you.
yes, go Anthony. Thank you for sharing. Who's next?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in real quick. When we talk about the good and the bad side of the internet, of course, I've heard everyone mention all the good already, but the bad can be as simple as scrolling on social media. And thinking about it is such a normal thing, and there's nothing necessarily bad about it. But the dangerous thing about the internet is how addicting stuff like that can be. And I can testify personally that because I'm 18 now, but when I was in middle school, just scrolling through social media, scrolling through the internet, Instagram, stuff like that, for like hours, and then at the end you just feel empty and depressed. Like it sounds like maybe it's like overreacting just because it's just social media. Like what can be like not even looking at anything necessarily bad, but just having something that isn't for your own good or for like bettering yourself, and then devoting all of that time and attention to it. Something that a lot of the times, something that's not even real a lot of the times. And I can really like say that like it's sort of it's very easy to like become sort of addicted to the internet and lose touch with reality. And it's like, there have been many a night back then where I'm just scrolling through the internet, social media, whatever, and then at the end you just feel like there's like a heavy weight on your chest. That's like the best way I can describe it. And you just feel like there's no point in anything anymore. So that's also very dangerous, because even a very simple thing, even something that isn't inherently bad, can very quickly become bad if it's unregulated.
You're right,
Yeah, I
Keeper
agree.
Jane. It's like the pressure also that we like put upon ourselves after scrolling through social media, right? I was actually gonna talk about that too, but um, just to mention, we love to hear more girl keepers also, like keeper Sherlyn, Hannah, Eunice, or even keeper Janeth, keeper Angelina. So would any of you like to share as well? Or maybe elaborate on any of the answers, or especially like what Keeper Jane was
Go
saying.
Sherman.
Yeah, go Janeth.
We got this.
Up to you though. Up to you, of course. So
Any of my girlies can relate. Come on, guys, I need more girls. There's too many guys here, my gosh. We need a female perspective here.
you would add.
About the bad things and the good thing of internet. A good thing of internet is that you can connect with your friends even they are like far, and then like from San Francisco or Virginia or New York. You can connect them using internet. But also there's always a bad side also. Sometimes using internet, it takes your time. It's like you're always, if you hold your phone, it's like your time is always there, and instead of doing something you cannot do because your time is gone.
That was great. Thank you, Keeper Sherlyn. Is that also another keeper next to you? By the way, Keeper Sherlyn, how about you, Keeper Hannah? Or is that Keeper Eunice? I'm not sure.
Keeper Eunice.
Go, Keeper Eunice. Would you like to elaborate or share? We'd love to hear you.
In the website, using internet, we need to be aware of using internet. Be aware of using the social media, or be aware of what you're um, watching, or because there's always gonna be sorry. Sorry.
Thank you. Oh. Is all good?
And in the good side, like what others said, in the good side, you can also watch pastor preaching instead of watching a bad internet. You could also watch the seminary news or the pastor preaching, or even in this podcast you can also join it. And that's it.
Thank you, Keeper Eunice. And you're right. There's right. This is really quick because you're saying essentially, right, despite the bad things in the internet, we really have an opportunity as well to really feed our souls, right? To really do things, to listen to things, to read, look at things that will really like enlighten us, you can say uplift us, right, rather than the things that will really put a weight on us, just like Keeper Jane was saying, right? um so I don't mean to keep pressuring, but like, of course, we'd love to hear from you, Keeper Angelina, if you like to follow the hall after the girl keepers, and especially since you're like a new face, we love for you to share, uh, of course, like your answers or anything that really like resonated with you so far from the discussion. Up to you, of course, but just know too, we're all rooting for you though, Keeper Angelina, and go SF. So would you like to share? If not, it's okay, but um we'd love to hear you.
What about Eric?
Hello,
Okay.
hello.
If not, it's okay. Keeper Angelina, feel free to jump in though, of course. But was that Keeper Eric? How are you there, Keeper Eric? And also Keeper
I'm
Alex.
good,
How you
Keeper
guys?
Calvin. How are you?
Kindly greet everyone. And if you want to jump in our discussion about the good and evil, the good and bad of the internet. So go keepers. Oh, okay. So I'll jump in. But in case you just jumped in, or in case you just joined the podcast, once again, we are talking about the good and bad of the internet. And just like many of the keepers have been um, really elaborating on, giving like great examples, right? Something that I thought about is really, once again, someone mentioned the about social media, right? I remember too, I had like a friend that came up to me one time. He's always like, he's like talking about how he's like sad essentially, right? But on social media it looks like he's having like the best life ever. So it really made me think about like, wow, like we really are posting and sharing and creating this image on social media of like the very best of our life, but they don't see the downsides, they don't see the negative, they don't see the trials and challenges that we go through, right? So essentially it's like a freedom of choice too. We can use the internet also to really portray that we're having like, to portray whatever we want, right? um and even too, we never know that it's just like from a camera screen, but other people might look at it and really feel like, wow, I don't look like that, or I don't, I'm not, look at this person succeeding, and what am I doing with my life, right? So not only is it a problem of creating like this almost artificial image, right, but on the other side too of the viewers, we never know if we're really, sometimes we're just using that to really discourage ourselves, right? But that's one bad thing of the internet. Just like you guys were saying, also it can be very addicting. We can really, sometimes we just are aimlessly scrolling and we're killing time, right? We're not being productive. Where sometimes we forget of our priorities, responsibilities, because of games, because of YouTube, or because of Netflix, right? Or even pornography, right? So um however, some good things of the internet that I could really share, or I thought about just based on personal experiences, right? For example, we're never bored. We could be on public, or if we're not doing anything with our if we're just, we're out, we're never really bored, right? We have our phones with us, right? um Another thing too, when even if we have our cell phones, we could communicate, just like Keeper AC was talking about. We have a podcast, right? Or we can even have group chats to really encourage one another, right? Or to keep in touch, even though we're not in the same Keepers Club, you can say, right? And especially, what about Keeper Eunice was talking about, to really feed our souls spiritually? We can listen to the good things. We can listen to uh, good music. We can really listen to things that are motivating, uplifting, and really things that we can really learn from, that we can really use in our life, right? So um just like we mentioned too, I think last thought before someone else jumps in, it's like, in just like this, it's in our hands, right? It's like we're writing our own destiny as well, with what we do with that phone, or what we do with that computer. and we can use it to learn anything, right? So it really is a choice. Are we going to use it to grow, or are we going to use it to really like kill our souls, right? So that's why once again we just want to emphasize that it really is, we don't learn this in school. We don't think about this, right? We even have sometimes we're with our friends, we don't talk about it, we don't really realize it. So we really thank Keepers Club for really sharing this with us, and we think this opportunity as well to really discuss it as well, to really open our eyes to things that we haven't realized before, right? So with that being said, though, would anyone else like to jump in, especially if you've just joined or if we haven't heard from you? Go keeper Eric, by the way. Would you like to
Well,
jump in?
so, about I know I just joined, but like I know the topic is about the good and bad of the internet, and especially as like most of us here are young people anyway, so we have firsthand experience on it. And just as my firsthand experience, I like what you said about how they don't teach you this in school, because I find that what we notice as the bad of the internet, it's not really talked about in in school because it's so normalized, right? Like stuff that'll kill your soul or something like that, like pornography. They don't talk about that in school, like how it's bad for you, or other stuff like cyberbullying. Not as much. I never really heard a lot about that. Things like that, because what you do online, it can really influence what you do in real life. So it's good that we're talking about it here in the Keepers Club podcast, what they don't teach you in school. I really think they should teach you in school, but right now they don't. And it's a good thing to raise awareness about this stuff, because if you're not careful with what you do on the internet, that stuff is going to like go into your mind, and then it's going to manifest into your physical actions, and not good. Doesn't do anything good for you or society itself. So that's why I'm really glad that here in the Keepers Club podcast, we're bringing awareness about this stuff. Not only the good of the internet, but also the bad part of it, because that's what should be talked about more. And yeah.
Thank you, Keeper Eric. Thank you for sharing. We would also like to, or not like, we would love to hear also, even though your video is not on, but I think we've seen you. How about you, Keeper Alex? Go Keeper Alex.
Hello? Oh, sorry. Hello?
Yes, you sound good. Go Alex.
Oh, what's the topic?
Oh,
Hi, Alex.
I
so it's about the good and bad of the internet.
Do you want me to talk about the good or just the bad, or is there a specific one right now?
Follow your heart. Go Alex.
Oh, okay. So for the good is that we're able to watch pastors' preachings or listen to the sounds of worship through the media of our phones. But the bad thing is that we can also listen to other things besides pastor and more worldly messages that can influence us. That's it.
Wow. That's a good answer. Unique answer.
Keeper. Thank you, Keeper. Alex. Yes. So. Yes, just like you were, just like they were saying, to really like listen to things that will really uplift us, right? So, whether it being a message, or music, or anything like that, right? So, how about one of our youngest keepers, Keeper Isaiah, or Keeper Isaac, Keeper Isaiah? If you're still there, we'd love to hear from you, especially at a very young age. You still there? If not, it's okay. But feel free to jump in also for anyone who hasn't answered. Oh, go Keeper Isaac.
What was the question? I just got back from the restroom.
Goalkeeper Isaac from the restroom. So we're talking about the good and bad of the internet. So the reason we want to ask you also is like your experience and the things that you think the internet can be good for, and even the bad also. So like up to you though. So Goalkeeper Isaac and Keeper Isaiah.
He's right here eating.
What you guys want to share?
I'm trying to think. One way, one good way, to use the internet is like watch videos how to learn about an instrument.
Good. No, it's good. It's
That's
great.
good.
Can you talk more about that?
My brother said studies.
Study.
Like, what kind of instruments do you learn, Keeper Isaac?
All types.
Do you have a specific one?
Drums. Or something.
Wow.
Wait. Drum. You said drums, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just making sure. Okay. But yes, and then would you or your twins, right? But correct me if I'm wrong. But would you like to share more about learning an instrument even, or things you can use the internet to study to do good in school? That's a great example. So go Keeper Isaac and Isaiah. I'm not sure if you muted, but if not, just know too that. Oh yes, go.
Yes.
Okay, all good. But hey, that's a great example. So would anyone else like to elaborate on learning something new through the internet? How about you, Keeper Kuya Marky, Kuya Mark? Drive safe, by the way. Or anyone else before we move on?
Well, if no one else will go, then I before when I was talking about like the bad stuff, right? The bad stuff of the internet that you can watch and it'll not do anything good for you. But the good stuff is like, if you don't have the internet and you're like in a mental state, like you're kind of depressed, at least you can watch like motivational videos online to help you, right? Or there's another thing, like talking to people online, like before when I was younger, I used to have a lot of online friends that I didn't know in real life, but you can still talk to them. They can still encourage you, they can still uplift you, they can do good things to you, stuff like that. And not only just talking to people online, because it's kind of like talking to them in real life. You still get the memo of it, but also like what I said, like watching YouTube videos, and not only if you're not like feeling well, like mentally, not only you can uplift yourself with the internet that way, but also learning stuff, because now in this age, I heard people call it the age of information, because whatever you want, you can just go online and learn it. Like if I want to know how to do something, I'll just go on YouTube, right? And they tell me, like, I didn't know how to tie a tie a few weeks ago, and now I do, which is something good. And I got it from YouTube. And stuff like learning like instruments. Like you don't gotta pay for anything anymore. If you want to learn, piano, guitar, you can just go online, and it's already right there for you. And that's a good part of the internet that I myself I'm really fond of. So yeah.
Wow.
Can I
Okay.
say something about what Eric or Keeper
Yeah,
Eric
sure. Why
just
not?
So I just want to say about when you mention inspirational or motivational, I really think because if you think about it, next month actually is the National Month of Suicide Prevention, and it's a really the month is really a dreadful month per se within that topic because we go through a lot of things, not even just us adults as well. You never know, maybe your mom and dad or aunt, uncle or whatever is suffering from that, and we can use the internet to it's just one click away. Like the bad side is one click away, the good side is also one click away, and you can just type a little something, motivational music, something like that, or lessons or something, and it's all right there. It's not like you have to pay for it. It's free. We may not have this, or they may not have this resource or the Keepers podcast or whatever we're doing, to be able to talk to each other. But, for the people outside who is suffering from, you know, these kind of feelings like depression, anxiety, or whatever, they have these resources online on the internet to be able to share or like express themselves through music, through all sorts of things. And I really think, because someone once said, like a really wise person once said, I'll just say, music is the key to the soul. If you listen to motivational music, if you listen to inspirational music, you can feel that deep inside, not just in your personal personal physical body, but deep inside, because music really does do your damage. Like, you know, people get heartbroken, there's heartbroken songs. People get sad, there's sad songs. People are happy, there's very happy songs. But if you're just in that state where you want to be motivated to keep on going, to keep on pushing, in life, because we go through a lot of trials that we think, oh, I can't do this anymore, it's too hard. Like, I just wanted to just let me just skip this. Like, in if we're talking about games, in the term of games, there's like levels, right? And there's like a level that you just can't pass and you just want to skip. But you have to be motivated. So I think that's when the internet comes in. If they don't have this kind of resources like us to be able to talk to each other about being motivated to go push through that extra uplifting power, I really think is the best words that I can use to be able to describe the good thing of the internet. So yeah, it's a really good thing that you said that, Keeper Eric, because it also reminded me, like, there's really good things for the internet for us to be able to use as well, especially as young people. So yeah, that's all I can say for that.
I'd like to elaborate on, since we're talking on the topic of the good side of the internet. I just like to say that yes, the internet is both good and bad, but if if you use it for good, then it's good. Like, if you think about it, our generation is really privileged because we're seeing like the advancement of technology, or basically the internet, because our parents before, they had to pay like, I don't know how much money just to call someone overseas. But look at us, we can call our parents with an app or with our cell phones, and just like all we need is Wi-Fi, and it only takes like what, 30 seconds for them to pick up, or however long it takes for them to pick up. But yeah, and like what Eric said, you can learn stuff on the internet, like languages, instruments. So much information is put on the internet, and it's basically like Google. It's like, you know, it's basically a library of information, but on a screen, and it's all at your disposal. And if you use it for the good, then you know, then it'll benefit you really well. But then again, there's always the temptations of the bad side of the internet, which people should always be careful about. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Keeper Gab. And it's very nice hearing like it's like no silence in this episode, right? It's like everyone's jumping in and even answering twice. Um and since we're coming to a close, we just want to have like a uh final thoughts for our discussion. But while you're deciding to answer or not, also Keeper Erica, are you by any chance are you the keeper from last week? Like, so you're like a new face, but since you joined, you're like also a returning keeper. You could correct me if I'm wrong, just double checking so we can greet you accordingly. Oh, you were. Wow. Yeah, welcome. We hope you're enjoying this episode, and sorry that we didn't notice earlier. But let's all greet and give a round of applause to Keeper Erica for joining as well. Go returning Keeper Erica. Is it playing? Yeah, it's playing. So, we'd love for you to if you're willing to say anything or greet want to greet all the keepers in this episode, we'd love for you to do so. But if not, once again, for also keeper Janet, um keeper Angelina, and keeper Erica, regards to your sister also, we couldn't be happier for you to join. So we hope that you're enjoying as well. And final call for anyone who hasn't shared their answer, if they like to really talk about the good and the evil or anything that really resonated with them in our discussion.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, keeper Alfie.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, before your closing, well, I can only have. Can I just do audio, Calvin? No video. I just can't do video right now.
Yeah, of course, Kuya.
Okay, praise the Father. So, yeah, this is a very, very good topic. Very, very great and specific topic about the good and bad of the internet. So, because most of you guys here are young, and then you know, I'm glad to hear. We're glad to hear as your kuya to that you do recognize the bad, especially the bad part of the internet, and you also know the good part. The thing is, as young as you are right now, you're growing up with digital already. You know, everything's technologically like inclined. It's increasing. It's evolving. Whereas for us millennials, we were able to experience life before internet. And the thing is, I know you do feel glad also that it's helpful, and you also see the downside of it. But to experience actually a life before internet, it's not as very powerful to hear. But to really live conservatively, it's like one of the most relaxing, one of the most purest thing that could help you in your mind, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. And then when you eat too much sugar, what happens to you? You get big, you get fat, and then you're having a hard time to like lose weight to gain strength. The same is true with internet. If you feed off with too much of these bad things, you get to this thing where like it's so heavy loaded to you that it's so hard for you to get up. You don't feel good in the world. The way you look at the world, it's not as how you looked at the world before. So, and we're thankful also because that's the reason of this podcast. You can have a different identity social media wise, but then the true identity, like, when you're alone, that's a whole new different thing. Sometimes the more you look at in the internet, it can build up that insecurity. It can build up that jealousy, that envy towards others. But then you can also build up yourself, in a good way. And that's also one of the reasons of this podcast. But then to really consider of the bad part, it's also to really take care of yourself in the future. For us millennial wise, and for those, your mom and dad, they didn't grow up with the internet. So the use of the internet is the creation of internet was just to share things, but then it wasn't intent for these bad things. But the bad people in the world use it that way. And then it was convenient for them. But who are the ones that's, that's what do you call that? That's suffering. Who are suffering? The young people. You guys are, you know. And I know some of you guys, I could you guys just don't want to say it, but then I know some of you are suffering from the internet. And Pastor knows that too. Why I can say it? Because I was there also. And we as Rikuya, we don't want you to go there to experience, like, the worst things. Like, even because the bad things of what you see, it can rape your mind, it can murder your spirit, it can kill the way you think of this world. So really, really, really take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. You know, you eat every day because you take care of yourself, to make you live. Whatever you're watching, whatever you're clicking, take care of your health, your mind, emotionally, you know, and it's upon you. We could tell you what to click and what not to click, but
Amen.
then that finger, your mind, it's your responsibility. And if you want to be successful, you know, practice that. Make the good decisions. Even just a click, you know. I could say that because I was there. And I know a lot of us were there, even the ones who are not here, but they could attest to that. And I know that, young people now, there's only a percentage that are still innocent. But if you're also worried that, if you have loved ones that you want to keep that innocence, it can start with you. You have a younger brother, younger sister, you could be that example. And for those who are who have seen, especially pornography, or what you see, drugs or anything, you know that's messing up with your mind. It could mess up the way you interact with people. It could mess up the way you even feel sometimes. It's giving you this illusion, and it's so hard for you to even really take care of yourself mentally and emotionally. And most of the times, you don't even want to talk to people anymore. It keeps you isolated. You just want to be alone, because who can I trust? Who can I open up to really help me deep within of what I'm going through? You know, so that's really one of the things that what's very important in this episode, in this topic, because your future can be determined also by just a click of a button. So, make that decision. And we're also here for you. You know, if you have someone, your parents or older people that takes care of you, take those advices. You don't need to experience so that you will learn. You can learn from others. And then, for the keepers, we have Pastor. We're thankful because he's our greatest model. And if you're new to this podcast, turn to God, and he'll give you the way to keep you the right path. So this is very important. Um, there's a lot of topics to talk about, but this is also one of the root causes of what's going on in this world. With the young people, some have become suicidal because they don't know who to trust anymore. And even though they post this selfies and they're happy, but deep within they're not. Why? Because we're growing up in a world where it's social media. But then if it's a social media, you know, why are we not socially in person? Or how are you, can you be social, really social to your parents? If it's a social media, it's not it's like it's telling you one thing, but it's making you do the other thing. So keep a prayerful life, everyone. And then if you really just want also to really help you, one of the best thing in this world, just close your eyes, have a deep personal relationship with God, and then ask Him to guide you through. Because you as the young people as well, and for the ones that are new here, the kids that's gonna come after you, you are going to be the one to be teaching them as well. And for the bad things that people have gone through in this life because of the good and bad of the internet, you can make a brighter future for the ones that you love, and especially for you as well. Praise the Father, So yeah, really take this opportunity in this podcast to really open up, because even though you're not speaking up, it's really important that you really just try to speak. If you can't do it here, find who to trust. And you might not think that you need help, but everyone needs help. There's not one that doesn't need help. You are young, you still need help to guide you in this life. You're still growing up. Even the old people, they still need help to make a good decision in the remaining in the remaining days of their life. And for us, who's our greatest reminder? We have pastor. And if you're new here, God is our greatest reminder as well. So this is I know, and I know that there's only a little percentage of innocence here in the United States. Even kindergartens. And I don't need to elaborate on that, because I know you know what I mean. So the young people right now, it's a blessing, but also a challenge, because there's a war to win you, so that you can have a better life. But there's also another war, each and every one of you, that you had to face. And that war is in your mind. It's your emotion. And that war that you're going through, whatever it is, just keep a prayerful life. And if you wanna be helped, use the gadget for a better future for you. For us millennials, the ones who live in the 80s, 70s, we can live without that. We can live without internet. But then for you, sometimes taking that away taking the gadget away, you know, sometimes I hear a YP said, "I wish you're not my mom," because the gadget was taken away from them, and it's too much. It's hurting kids. You take it away from them, they cry. You give it back, it's a pacifier. It's not a good sign, which means it's not doing good for you. But then you're there also to help those kids in need, and you also have yourself to help yourself. But most of all, just have a connection, deep connection with God, with the Father, and always have a prayerful life. You have your eyes open to click, to make the good decision. Just close your eyes and don't click. I think that's it for now for me. It's my first time to really speak to you guys, but it's very important because I know this is like sometimes a taboo until someone really talks about it and just speak up, and then each and every one of us are able to just speak and just relate. I mean, we love you guys. We love all the young people, and the best thing that we just want from you is to just keep you safe. Keep you safe in this digital world. And the one who's always reminding us for that, is Pastor. And without him, as the founding president, especially of this club, Keepers Club, this podcast wouldn't be here. If the internet is used also to damage the young people, then it's also, we're going to use it to help the young people through the podcast. Here's the Father. So so Father bless everyone. God bless. And that's it.
Amen.
See everyone.
And God bless, Kuya. Thank you for a very heartfelt, deep, and spiritual answer to Keeper Kuya Alfie. So to wrap it up though, especially since it's getting very late, I don't think any of us could have said it better than Kuya, so let's move on. And we appreciate your patience as well, everyone. So too, if you can see the screen, as our very final thoughts. Yes. So some things to remember. Take only what is good. No one can avoid the internet, but we can avoid being entangled by it, right? And what we decide to take is what we will become, right? If we use our freedom of choice to take all that is good, we will become good. If we use our choice to eat and see and listen to everything that is bad, we will become bad, right? It's as simple as that. So everything starts in the mind, so be aware and always guard it. And let's make it short and sweet for our reflection, especially for all the keepers, new faces. We'd love to hear you, what you thought about this episode, any questions, comments, or violent reactions. And was there anything in particular from our discussion that really resonated with you, right? And for these 3 other questions also, we're glad and we're thankful as well for all the keepers to pretty much sum it up and to talk about it, as to why we have this podcast, why we should continue to be aware of the struggles of being a youth, and why viewers at home, and no matter which Keepers Club or country you are, to join Keepers Club. But for the keepers, the new faces, or returning faces, we'd love to hear you. Keeper Janeth, if you're still there, Keeper Angelina, or Keeper Erica. We'd love for you to kind of share your experiences on this podcast as well as we come to a very close. would you like to jump in? If not, it's okay. But once again, we thank you so much for joining. Keeper Erica, Keeper Angelina, and Keeper Janet. But feel free to jump in. And last but not least, of course, shout out once again to all the new faces and to the keepers tuning into this episode, all the returning keepers, especially Keepers Club, and of course, our founding president of the Keepers Club International, which is our beloved pastor, Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy. So we thank you for all the viewers as well who have listened to this episode, and we hope you enjoyed, and to see you next episode. So these are our social medias as well at the moment. The others are currently in the works, but you can catch us on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, or YouTube. Just type in Keepers Club Podcast. That's where you'll see and listen to our full episodes. But once again, we thank you so much for joining, and we hope that you have a great night. And we love if we can also take a picture. So if that's all right with everyone. So kindly open your videos and let's take a very nice photo, maybe like a normal one, just smiling. And once again, also thank you for your understanding. This might be one of the latest episodes, but it really was a very heartfelt, spiritual, and eye-opening as well. Ready? So on the count of 3, screen record. All right. So let's do a normal smile, everyone, and nice faces, by the way. And hi, Keeper Janet, everyone. Keeper Francisca.
Hi, Janet.
All right, so 3, 2, 1. All right, and one more, keeper science, like a K. So ready, and 3, 2, 1. All right, so much love, everyone, and thank you for joining. We'll stop the recording, but what a great episode. You guys agree? And be safe.
Everyone.
Great.
Bye, everyone.
So lots of love, everyone. So cheers.
See you next episode.
Hey, much love from California, y'all. See